glorious people of the planet. Are you suffering from delusions of grandeur? Filling your home with shades of grey just like everybody else? Well, prepare to be inspired. I am about to take you on a celebratory frolic through the outrageous homes of proud-to-be-different homeowners.
Hey, this is the most extraordinary house.
Oh,
wow.
This is where it all started and gone completely bonkers.
They're daring with their decor.
Where do you even start with putting velvet on a ceiling?
And wild with their designs.
I've never been a conformist.
No, exactly.
You can pop a smiley face on anything.
You kind of can, can't
Yeah.
you?
So get ready to lose your interior inhibitions.
Was there a moment with any of this that you thought we might be going a little bit too far?
No.
This time, we're meeting these 6 outrageous homeowners from 70s Funkadelic and Mosaic magic to pirate chic and underwater tank-tastic. Prepare to be outraged and fall in love, especially with this guy.
This outrageous home is a pleasure dome, a party palace which shocked locals dubbed England's answer to the Playboy Mansion, and all within spitting distance of super genteel Stratford-upon-Avon, Shakespeare's birthplace. But as we all know, the bard loved a party.
Welcome to the Treasure Island house. This lavish estate, which sits on 4.5 acres of beautiful Warwickshire countryside, was the brainchild of this man, Felix Dennis, an eccentric philanthropist, publisher and poet who, along with his insatiable appetite for sex, drugs and rock and roll, was also fascinated with the tale of Treasure Island. So, in 1987, he joined his two loves of partying and pirates to create this.
In his quest to become the perfect pirate party prince, Felix installed some incredibly theatrical lighting and some even more theatrical effects.
Felix commissioned this magnificent 12,000 square foot 21st century folly for £5 million, creating the ultimate party pad and over the years reportedly blowing 100 million, living the life of a rock star. Shiver me timbers. But sadly, the party for Felix ended when in 2014 he died. So the new captain of this ship is Dawn, who, along with husband Derek, took command 7 years ago after they sold their business for quite a few treasure chests of doubloons. Here they house their cruise ship mates Rupert and Minnie, and deckhands Earl and Dam Cring. As far as we know, none of them are wanted for piracy.
Permission to come aboard and parlay. Oh, and look, you've got a ship's cat.
Come on, Earl.
Come on, Earl. It's extraordinary having a swimming pool at the absolute heart of the house. And also, these palm trees are incredible.
They're actual real palm trees. They've stripped the bark off them and they've preserved them. Then they dipped the fronds into embalming fluid with green dye in it, and they stay green.
How incredibly complicated. Why not just get a kind of plastic palm tree?
I don't think it would look the same, though, would it?
Crazy attention to detail.
Yeah.
The thing that's really catching my eye is this incredible mosaic at the bottom of the swimming pool.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
Absolutely exquisite.
Yeah.
And it seems to sort of flicker with the light.
It does, and at night time it's even nicer with all the lights on it. It's beautiful, absolutely beautiful. The amount of work that's gone into that, 450,000 mosaic tiles with gold and silver, 22 carat, to get the colours
It gets that
mixed.
sparkle,
Yeah.
doesn't it? Reflects the light, yeah. But I mean, the big question is, though, this is the ultimate party pad. How many parties have you had here?
I could probably count them on one hand.
Really?
That's sad, isn't it? We're not party people.
Really?
No.
So there you are, you know, inhabiting one of the kind of the mythical spaces that comes with all this kind of Babylonian baggage.
Probably wasted on the two of us.
You have the vicar around for a cup of tea?
Not quite.
But the big question I know everyone wants to know is...
So, Dawn, where do you put your Christmas tree?
We put it on the island. Felix used to have a little quartet there, so there's a cover, and we just put our tree on the island.
And is it sort of pirate-themed? Do you have...
No.
At the time of construction, this barnstorming barn was the biggest to be built of green oak in 300 years. No expense was spared to fulfill Felix's fantasy. Inside, a 1,500-gallon aquarium weighing 17 tons, complete with its own coral reef and marine fish, greets you at the entrance hall to the ground floor lagoon. Panels of exquisite shells from around the world adorn the walls. On the upper deck, the luxury and opulence continues in the bathroom, where the finest Verona Italian marble surrounds the sunken bath, and no tinkle would be complete without a pearlescent, sheltastic throne. On the main deck, the kitchen, which is marvellously maritime-y. The central island echoes the shape of a ship's hull with a grand oak table fit for the whole crew. And in the barn's one bedroom, Felix installed the captain's boudoir, two hand-carved figureheads keep watch by the four-poster bed. I bet they would have a few salty sea tales to tell.
Does it actually work?
Yes.
You're fiddling on the telephone. You're like, suddenly you find that the house is now north by northeast. This is the most extraordinary house. And obviously, it's somewhere that he spent a lot of time and obviously was very engaged with. Do you never get a slight sense that he's never left?
Absolutely. Especially in the beginning, we were sitting down, we were having a few glasses of wine, discussing what we might do with the house. And this, which is quite heavy, just started going like this.
Right.
And it just doesn't do it on its own.
No.
So kind of gave us a few shivers.
So you felt he was telling you off?
Yes.
You know,
yeah.
you were sort of sitting there, I can see it all quite shabby chic and we'll get some wallpaper up there. Yeah. And suddenly the bell goes ding, ding, ding. No.
Below deck, a brief respite from the pirate theme where we enter the decadence of Art Deco. Housing a games room, a bar, and your own private cinema where 1,500 sheets of 23-carat gold were used for the gilding on the panels. Yes, I know I look good against it. One thing for sure is Felix certainly left his mark. Literally.
From up here, you could just tell how incredibly well made everything is.
Yeah, his attention to detail was just incredible.
Actually, how often do you come up here?
Not very often,
Really?
as you can tell by the dust.
You surprise me. Obviously, Felix's intentions were very clear with this, let's face it.
Initially, I didn't want to think about what went on in this bed.
Yeah.
But you get used to it, and then you don't even notice.
Do you sleep in here now?
We were sleeping here for 3 years.
And how was it?
Fine.
Really?
Yeah.
You didn't feel as if you were sort of like being looked on a lot?
Not really.
What's happening above the bed?
Access to a hot air balloon.
No.
Yes.
So he'd get a hot air balloon to sort of
to
hover
Yeah.
just outside and just sort of up and away.
Yeah.
The house itself is undeniably an impressive display of cunning architectural engineering. But what enchants me is how Dawn has managed to turn Felix's party pad into a home for her and Derek that feels relaxing and sophisticated.
How have you coped with trying to put your mark on it?
I didn't really think about it, to be honest with you. We just moved in with the bits of furniture we had from various houses and said, does that fit here?
That is the secret, and that is what is making it work, is the fact that all your bits of furniture have a very strong flavour to them. So they can kind of almost like take on all of the Felixness.
The use of French Renaissance-esque mirrors, gold gilt furniture and sumptuous sofas make the lounges and hallway homely. Dawn, I think you might need a bigger duster.
This is almost certainly inspiring the nation to really embrace the latest, newest trend, which is for sure pirate. I think everybody should be doing pirate. I mean, why would you not? Look at it. Look at it, for goodness sake. It's perfect. It works.
So, pirate chic. Let me sum it up for you. Take a laughing pirate. A lavish lagoon, complete with embalmed palm trees. A bawdy, busty bedroom with a hot air balloon escape hatch, handy if you need one. And a throne with a sheltastic surround.
That's a big R from me.
And most importantly of all, a clever, outrageous homeowner.
Dawn moved her family into a pirate prince's pleasure palace and turned it into a comfy, cosy, happy home. Brava, Dawn. Only the fish in the fish tank can remember the unseemly tales of the old days, and they're not telling anything.
My next fabulous, outrageous homeowner is less Long John Silver or Billy the Kid. And it just so happens his name is Billy. This retired IT assistant has changed his cottage garden into a Wild West ranch in the northwest, Cheshire, to be precise.
I woke up one morning and I thought, I want a Western ranch. I've lived here for 53 years, and when my mum and dad passed away, I inherited the place. And then I sort of worked my magic on it, if that's the right word. This is where it all started. This building is the stables originally for my dad's horses, which he built in '69. There's nobody in at the moment. Hello? Oh, there is actually. You're all right. When I've been building this, my dad has been in the forefront of my mind because I know he'd love what I've done, and it's through his sort of teaching skills, if you like, that I've been able to do this. A lot of the stuff that I've used to build the ranch has been reclaimed. One of the items I've decorated the place with is barrels, because in every single Western you've ever seen, there's always barrels. So I've got some barrels in. That's off a cot out of the skip. It's all rustic. It was in the Wild West, wasn't it? You know, it wasn't like millimetre perfect, which luckily none of that is. I created this area by first of all getting a copper cylinder. Copper is perfect for brewing moonshine. And then, of course, you've got to have a barrel for putting your moonshine in. Ha! Cheers! Not good. Not good, that. The total sum of what I've done here has been, wait for it, £500. The next plan is a saloon, then a watermill, and then, now this next one is a bit ambitious, but I'm going to do it, a fort. You've got to have a fort, haven't you?
And why not, Billy? I shall take my Stetson off to you, partner. Joyously ahead, a 70s groovy Wonderland.
Oh, I love a squoval.
A squoval? I didn't even know that was a thing.
And I indulge in one of the delights of the decade.
Who came up with this infernal object?
Design trends are like boomerangs. They're always coming back, from the swinging 60s to the powerhouse 80s, or even the 1900s. Some of my favourite homeowners just long to live in the past.
And why would you want to forget a design style where the high street undulated with such fabulous grooviness and where avocado was king?
In suburban Manchester, this typical terrace holds a rather fabulous secret. Welcome to the 70s, baby. This hip haven is owned by a woman who loves all things groovy. Meet Estelle. She's an author who loves flamingos, demis roussos, and bananas.
Right, Miss Northern Soul, let's get groovy in your gaff, shall we? Estelle has been reveling in retro since the 1970s. Oh. And for the last 30 years, she's been collecting all things disco-tastic, funky, fabulous, and shagadelic. Estelle shares her love of the 70s with her husband Steve and her young son, whose bedroom is also a happy homage to the decade. So aside from feeling like we've gone through a minute fracture in the space-time warp continuum, how long did it take you to re-evoke the era that style forgot?
I've collected since I was 13.
So 2 or 3 years?
Yeah, 2 or 3 years.
2 or 3 years, darling.
But this incarnation is probably about 5 or 6 years.
Is it an emotional thing?
It's an emotional thing. It's very personal. I look at something and I'm like, yes, I love it. I like the colours, I like the shape, I like the form.
It's instinctive. I mean, there's an immense energy to the 70s in a way that I don't think you get in any other decade. And in fact, every time you went into a 70s room, you just wanted to run around going, whoa! The 70s was an explosion of decor delights. From outrageous colour palettes to low-slung furniture and shag-pile carpets. It reflected the bohemian cool lifestyle of the time. Basically, it was pretty out there, man. You started doing this when 1970s was reasonably unpopular.
Yes.
Sadly for you, the rest of the world has caught up. So does that mean it's now suddenly very expensive? Or can you find bargains?
If you know what you're looking for, you can still find a bargain.
Such as, what's a good one?
Recently, in the last couple of years, probably the TV. It's 1970s Colour. It was designed in the late 60s but didn't go on sale until 70s, so it's that space age kind of like vibe to it.
Does it work?
Yeah. I mean,
Have you watched me on it?
No, sadly not, Laurence.
Right. And what about things like the ceramics? Is that still something you can find in a thrift store or a junk shop?
Yeah, this one. I think I paid £1 for that one a few years back, but look at the colours, the teal and the orange.
Joyous.
Yeah, it's frivolous.
So what's the jewel in your 70s crown?
The piece that I would save in a house fire would be the chair. One of these was in the V&A.
Iconic of the era,
Yes, exactly. My dad had one of these chairs.
Yeah.
It's a very, very clear moment, a snapshot in time as a child. I pursued that chair for a lot of years. And my other half, Steve, I kept seeing them coming up in really good condition. They were about £2,000–3,000. And I'd be like, can I buy a chair? And then he was like, absolutely not, you're not spending that money on a chair. And then one came up locally. Couple of £100. I just put the bid on and I won it. Yeah, and
Nothing to do with Steve?
Nothing to do with Steve.
Did you deliberately set out to find a partner with a very 1970s name like Steve? Because, I mean, everyone was called Steve.
Steve or Mark.
Does he smell of Old Spice and Dennet?
No, I'd quite find that quite attractive, quite alluring if you did.
Well, of course you do. Look at you. Delights from this disco-flared, hip-strutting decade can be found all over Estelle's glamour-lamorous pad. Making snow angels in shagpile was the single most common cause of carpet burns in the 1970s. But where do you get down and shake your groove thang in a place like this? Well, the bathroom, of course. Easy, Tiger. Why aren't more bathrooms brown? This is so dang cosy.
It's a travesty, isn't it? White bathrooms need to be a thing of the past.
They're great places to hold an autopsy. But this just feels so cuddly. I mean, where do you get it in shades of charcuterie?
Well, I found it on an internet auction site.
Of course you did.
Of course I did. I sent the link to Steve and he was like, why on earth would I want a suite the colour of poo? And I was like, have you actually looked at it? Because the beautiful ombre, it's actually the technical colour for it is called autumn leaves. Its actual registered title is autumn leaves. And we won it for a whole £20.
The whole thing?
The whole thing.
And the taps?
And the taps.
Heavens above.
When he saw it, he was like, that is one sexy bathroom suite. Where else would you get an ombre bath suite?
And then these sort of iconic Art Deco maidens with a globe, as I can see you have here.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's based on an Art Deco design, but that's actually one from the Bieber department store.
Right.
Stumbled across it at a car boot sale last year, and it was a whole £3.
Really?
Yeah.
But I mean, this is where you're really enjoying that luxurious, lascivious opulence of the 70s. Surprised you don't have shag pile carpet going up the side of the bath.
It is one of those sort of very dividing points.
Polarising.
Yeah, it's very
Where does Steve stand on carpet up the side of his bath?
Well, we have a small child who is very poor aim, so we tend not to have carpet in the bathroom. But if it was my personal bathroom, I probably would have had carpet.
Are your toes going all wrinkly yet?
Not quite. They're not pruned yet.
So some of you out there might be saying, bright green? Why? Traffic cone orange? No way. Well, yes way, I say. No decade was more colourful than the 70s, and Estelle has excelled groovily in combining the shapes, patterns and colours of this decade, bringing them back gloriously into the 21st century.
The thing about the 70s package is it comes with big lumps of lifestyle, doesn't it? You know, glamour.
Yes.
You know, they were big into entertaining. Suddenly, this is the first point in British history where the high street started indulging the suburbs and giving them cocktail cabinets and, you know, drinks trolleys and pineapple-shaped ice buckets, all of which I can see over there, obviously. Ta-da. You were supposed to display things in a way that you were never allowed to display
your
before.
treasures.
Your treasures. Tell me about your rug.
It's an Axminster Norsk range. This style rug was in my bedroom, so I kind of have really fond memories of it. And then I stumbled upon somebody's account on Instagram who had this rug in the living room. And I was like, oh my God, that's that rug. My parents had it. I've been wanting it for years. And we became friends. And one day she turned up on my doorstep and she was like, changed my mind. I'm doing something else. Here, have the rug. And she always says that she swapped a rug for a best friend.
Lovely.
I know, isn't it sweet?
Rug pals.
Rug pals, yes.
From glam lighting to moulded space-age furniture and bold prints.
It's like colour in the 70s kept picking fights with itself.
Estelle has skillfully sourced from online and boot fairs pieces that inject playfulness and warmth to her rooms.
The 70s weren't big on straight lines. You know, there were plenty of periods that were, but the 70s, actually, they liked a soft square, didn't they?
Oh, we love a squoval.
A squoval! I didn't even know that was a thing.
Definitely a squoval.
I nearly fell off the bed then.
Estelle also embraces the 70s with low-hanging baskets filled with greenery, bringing a connection to nature. I mean, who doesn't love a bit of cheese? Plant. But when it comes to the cuisine, well...
What feats of culinary engineering have gone into this extraordinary creation?
It's a banana candle, Laurence.
Who came up with this infernal object?
The iconic Fanny Craddock.
I was always a big fan of Johnny. There's that classic moment where, live on television, Fanny had been making donuts.
I know the one you mean. I
everyone's-
hope your donuts turn out like Fanny's.
Exactly. Classic. Kitsch is a strong part of where a lot of people are with their decorating. They are using things that are perceived as being, in inverted commas, bad taste, as a way of showing how cool they are. You know, a flamingo and a bar cart.
Exactly. And, you know, even like a tiger. There's nothing tasteful about it in some respects, but it is just fun.
No, exactly.
I'm surrounded by things that are either inspiring to me, that have an energy to them. It's joy, it's flamboyance, it's everything.
Design needs to be personal.
I mean, I can't remember who did the quote, but the best homes have something to say about the person. You know, and it is. It's like, this house is completely authentically me. I was diagnosed as having a neurodiversity at the age of 44. People with autism have what we call special interests. And often a special interest becomes something that you become so absorbed in, and it's something that actually gives you great joy at a very, very, very emotional and primitive level. So this house and design is most definitely a result of having autism and being neurodiverse. It's everything about me, and it's a positive thing.
Goes further than that. It's a creative thing. It's also
Absolutely.
built something. And you've done that. That's exactly what you've done.
Yeah, I mean, it's a joy to do. It's a joy to live here, and it's a joy to experience this. And it becomes very much a safe space. So when things are very difficult outside, you can come back and it's a womb-like safe space. A
70s womb with a view.
Ah, the 1970s. It's been a blast to step back in time. We've seen shaggy rugs, sausage-coloured tubs, and all finished off with a cherry on the top. Lovely. Isn't it great that Estelle has used all the groovy glamour of the 1970s to make a swinging, safe place? And it's very nice of Steve to join us, although I'll leave you to work out which one is Steve. Here's a teasing treat for you. Next, an outrageous home with a clever, crafty side to it.
I don't think I've ever seen anybody using a fridge as a cupboard.
And yet it is.
And yet it is.
It is an electric cupboard. Don't you just love little everyday objects? They're so everyday. But what happens when you fall out of love with your small object of desire? In this outrageous home, that which is normally disregarded is in fact highly regarded by art teacher Kath, who holds the world record for knitting the most socks during lockdown, and her husband, Pastor Mike, who has a large collection of interesting spoons. Come on, you two, show me around. This 1970s five-bed semi in Surrey is a sanctuary for all things second-hand. From a young age, Kath was determined to make do and mend, and her home is a shrine to this mindset. With its upcycled kitchen, repurposed bedroom, and patched-up living room, here, trash is treasure. Last time I was in a kitchen with toadstools hanging from the ceiling, I'm sure there was a poison apple involved.
Oh, really?
What are those about?
Why would you not have toadstools hanging from your ceiling?
Pastor Mike, what do you think?
I'm with you, Laurence. I don't really get them. When Kath suggests something, I think that's not going to work.
Yeah, he says that as well.
But it does. What do I know?
But there is something certainly there's something very uplifting, there's something very positive.
Yeah, you've got to be joyful. We're on this planet a short amount of time. Your kitchen, your open space is where you entertain. We're very much, aren't we, Mike, about hospitality? And this place is for
Well, talk to me about that,
everybody.
because also, I mean, hospitality comes with the job, doesn't it? You've got to be open house, cup of tea, people are having a tough time.
Yeah.
I think having a space where everybody can come and feel comfortable,
Yeah.
you can feel relaxed.
So you obviously take over anything that can be painted or embellished or ornamented.
Yeah.
But the big thing is, it's not just pretty, is it? It's actually the responsible way of doing a kitchen.
Yeah, most things have been curated, appropriated, knitted, painted within an inch of their lives. But in a considered way, Laurence. There's nothing worse than when people think that this kind of aesthetic is haphazard, because it's quite the opposite. It's about taking your own personality and the objects that are important to you and putting them together.
I love that. An ordinary object that's been turned into an object of desire.
Yeah, and if a door falls off, find a beautiful piece of fabric and just replace it. It's curation. It takes years of scavenging.
Years of skip diving.
Skip diving, you know, magpieing.
For instance, your pan there, which is absolutely lovely.
Yeah, so you paint them and then it becomes a piece of art that no one else has got.
The rug panels over there, did you do those?
Because I love teapots, and those were made out of my children's old clothes.
And that...
An egg poacher, and you know...
Oh, it's an egg poacher?
Yes, but of course it doesn't work.
So in your very, very Kath way, you just decided to give them another job.
Indeed.
I mean, I think this is fascinating. You know, previous generations would call it make, do and mend. But I mean, in
Yes.
your hands, actually, it's aesthetic.
Yeah. For us, obviously, you know, you've got that coming together now with environmental issues. And, yeah, just being very conscious that otherwise we're leaving a footprint, and we want to minimise that as much as possible.
You know, the headline is, it really, really works.
Thank you.
The more it layers, the better
You all right
it
with
becomes.
that, Mike?
Yeah, how do you feel about all this, Pastor Mike?
Oh, I
mean,
love
what-
it.
Tell us.
I really like it.
Well, I know your secret.
You do?
Yeah, I know that you're colourblind.
That's true.
So actually, as far as you're concerned, all of this is wonderful shades of beige. It's just sort of like,
I don't get the same sensory overload.
Yeah.
True.
The greatest example of Kath and Mike's welcoming hospitality may be found in this mural. I'll wager that this is not shop-bought wallpaper.
Oh, whatever makes you think that, Laurence.
I reckon you've done it yourself, Kath.
I wish I could say I did it myself because it is a stunner, but I actually did this as a, what do we say, a collaboration. Yeah, so at the moment we have a Ukrainian family living with us. They've been with us for 4 months now. And it was a lovely icebreaker to find part of the home and make it their own, because one of the issues with being a refugee is that the place isn't your home and you miss your home, and if there's any way that we can make them feel comfortable, then that's great.
That is lovely. Let's talk about context, because we've got all of this going on here, which is Kath, the art teacher, Kath, the, you know, the open-hearted sensibility. But on the other wall, we've got William Morris.
Yes.
Comfy, cosy,
Yeah.
you know, absolute suburbia, bourgeois patterns, but you've put them together in the most extraordinarily punky way.
Yeah, so I can remember years ago in a magazine before the internet, Laurence. I mean, when was that?
Can we remember that far back, Kath?
No.
No.
And I saw that someone had patchworked a wall. I thought, one day I will find a house with a wall where this will work. So that's where that evolved.
The only thing I think I'm struggling with actually is, what about the carpet?
What about it?
I'm just wondering, you know, I hate to impose,
Yeah.
but bearing in mind there is something that looks like a rather unpleasant stain on the carpet. Meanwhile, there is the world's most beautiful rug
Well,
there, which
that's
is in
true.
exactly these colours.
Yeah.
Had you never thought about putting that rug over that
Do you know, I'm
stain?
so glad you've come to visit now, because I reckon I might actually do that.
Go on,
Yeah.
come on, let's give it a go.
Right, OK, let's see how this looks. You might have to shake the dust off.
Oh, Kath.
Yeah, this is a thing.
Kath,
Thank you, Laurence.
it's a thing, it's
It
a
is.
moment, it's a
a
conjunction
moment.
of design stars.
It's a juxtaposition.
Come together. That looks gorgeous, doesn't
Thank
it?
you.
Well, let the glories continue. Come on, show me the
right,
rest of your home.
Let's just through here.
I don't know why more people don't explore the ice-cold cracker option. Why the fridge in the... I mean, we've got a fridge in the bedroom, but it's full of gin, not pants.
I love that fridge. The demise of the fridge was not going to mean the demise of the fridge, so I had to think, what are we going to use it for? And I don't think I've ever seen anybody using a fridge as a cupboard.
Yeah, and yet it is.
Quite. You can glue mirrors in there. It's a great little slot for hair dryers, for your hair straighteners, Laurence. It's
Yeah.
all there.
This strikes me as being an absolute explosion of you in here. Everywhere I look is so you. Where does all that inspiration come from?
Well, it was during lockdown, and I thought, well, if I'm going to spend time in here, I need to make sure that I actually enjoy the environment. The picture on the left and the curtains, which were the starting point, these curtains were £5 from a charity shop, and then I found the paint to match in.
Do you actually use, like, shop-bought paint, or, you know, anyone got any paint left over? Do you mix your own?
Yeah, some and some, Laurence. So around the top of the what do you call this bit?
Wow, you're coving.
That's the word. So the coving, I had to mix that to get that exact shade that felt right.
This to me is so much about your colour schemes, about the patterns you like, about the sort of the folk inspiration,
Yes,
the
yeah.
craft inspiration.
Yeah.
And yet it is also all frighteningly trendy.
Oh dear.
You know, I mean, it
no.
really is.
What do you suggest?
I don't know. I tell you what I suggest.
Oh, go on.
Use that power to
You know
actually
what
make
I'll do?
sure
I
that
shall
everyone.
step into it.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. then.
Crochet yourself a crown.
I applaud Kath's ingenuity. Her home is a triumph of makeovers, and every object has a second career. But this house has a secret.
Kath calls this her room of shame, mostly beige.
This is Mike's place.
It's where I relax, it's my quiet space.
It's all so incredibly magnolia.
Nice. Kath,
Yes.
your plants, they're everywhere.
Are they?
I've been here minutes, and this one now wants me to be its friend.
It loves you, Laurence.
Why are plants so important to your home?
easy accessories. They're natural, they're colourful, and you can get cuttings from the neighbours for free.
Along with plants, you've got knitting and you've got patchwork. You know, there's something about patchwork that seems to really express home to you.
It's a childhood thing. I can remember my mum had a lovely collared patchwork fitted top. The whole idea of stitch it, don't ditch it, mending, visible mending, so that you actually celebrate the fact that we're reworking and mending our things. Times such as these need patchwork.
What does Mike think of all of this?
Well, he's ever so blithely accommodating.
Good word for him, blithe, I think. he's still in the beige room, isn't he? Social media is full of interiors which feature houseplants, crochet and upcycled furniture. But there's also an enormous amount of virtue signalling. The home that Kath has created here is very real. It has a real heart to it and some very, very real knitting. Happening imminently, majestic mosaics.
You can hang all sorts of things off these, you see.
And aquatic adventures.
I'm slightly disappointed you don't have gills.
So stick around and dive in. My next outrageous home is a total smasher. It belongs to Caroline, a mosaic artist from the West Midlands who loves ceramics, but only when they're cut into tiny pieces.
My home is like a living work of art. It's just covered in mosaics, and I'm never going to stop! Mosaics everywhere, but this is where it all started and it's gone completely bonkers. This lady is doing her dance of life so that wherever she goes and whatever she's doing, people come to her. What I really love about mosaics is that I can use my sense of humour. My lovely Victorian Edwardian tiles and colour match with my carpet. I had a whole stack of teapot lids, which I've collected over the years, clearly, but I wanted to make something with them that wasn't overt, but a little bit of naughty cheekiness. You can hang all sorts of things off these, you see. Identity and heritage is very important to me. My Indian heritage, my Gujarati heritage, is slapped all over the walls, and the joy and the colour and the vibrancy is all around the house to show where I come from. These circles are known as mandalas. A mandala is a prayerful circle. I've used a lot of glitz and glamour and a bit of bling. I feel sometimes you can have too much mosaic, perhaps. She says. There's so much joy, love and beauty in this home. Often people come round just for a few minutes and then a couple of hours later they're still here. Go, please, please go. But I absolutely love it because it's just such a welcoming home. People are inspired by it. I don't like to think myself as an influencer, but an inspirer.
Brava, Caroline! I salute your kaleidoscopic creative creations.
Hobbies. Discuss. I mean, they're fine until they start taking over your world, your life, your house, which is okay if it's crochet. But buckle up, because we are about to penetrate through the portal of an outrageous home where a hobby has been allowed to totally take over. Oh, nice. Any chance for a plate? I'd even settle for spode.
Behind this 1920s door lies a gateway to a watery world. And it belongs to this man, Jack, a landlord who has a fondness for fish. So much so that he's turned his house into a suburban Atlantis. There are so many questions I have right now. One of them being, where do I get one of those belts from? And do they come with tassels? grab a towel and meet me on terra firma, Jack. You are particularly interested in
water, yeah.
the wonderful
aquatic
world of
yeah.
water.
Yeah.
To such an extent, I'm slightly disappointed you don't have gills. Will you show me round your wonderful world of water?
I certainly will.
Altogether, it's taken Jack 19 years to build and maintain his 11 tanks, using over 50 sheets of glass. There are around 250 aquatic acquaintances throughout the house, from the bedroom and hallway to the lounge and basement. No part of Jack's house is without a tank of some sort, shape and size, and all this fishy fun cost Jack 6,500 land pounds to complete. Here we are in the bedroom, and there's a chest of drawers, and there's a wardrobe, but there are also fish tanks. We've got 2 time zones of fish here. We can go from one side to the other.
Yeah.
You just thought, why not?
Funnily enough, I built this one about 5 years before I built that one.
How is that funny?
It's hilarious. Yeah, fair enough. I can't think of anything funnier.
No.
So when I built that one, I thought, wouldn't it be great?
Yeah.
So I wished I'd thought about that at the same time.
Basically, yeah.
So
yeah.
because I could order that piece of glass with a hole cut in it ready.
Yeah.
This one,
That one.
I had to. And here it
That's
is, memorabilia. Yeah.
Did you cut that with your own teeth?
You see the little lines of stitch drill? Then link them all together, a bit like join the dots.
How long did it take?
Ages.
Yeah, I can imagine.
It was all very hair-raising. Oh, if it went wrong, I wouldn't have been a very happy bunny. But it went right.
And as they are in the room, it would be rude not to find out who Jack's fishy friends are. Put together a menu of what you've got in your tanks in your bedroom.
OK, well, for starters, which are my favourites, are the 6 tiger knifefish, which are related to the electric eel, 40 brown African knifefish, a couple of pictus catfish.
Any firemouth cichlids?
Got 3 firemouth cichlids, 3 musk turtles, 6 Jack Dempsey cichlids, and there are some others.
Have you ever explored the possibility of the fact that your ideal lady friend would be a mermaid?
I'm actually a leg man.
Oh,
yes,
you can get them the other way round. The underwater theme continues into the bathroom, naturally, where the floor is made from a plethora of pebbles, and on top sits a glass bath that, quelle surprise, is based on a fish tank, embellished with a cast of crabs. That is the collective noun. I think you. The thing about you, Jack, is that you don't waste any time, do you? If you come up with an idea, I want a fish tank bath, you just build it.
I could lie down in this bath with my feet there and the head there.
Right.
But shorter people end up sort of like floating around.
Yeah, doing lengths.
So it's not ideal for them, you know.
And the thing is, I mean, there's a sense of being very much on display from every angle. Is that an advantage?
There's typically nobody else in the room,
True,
Laurence.
true,
yeah,
true.
But I know what you mean. If somebody was in the room, they'd say it all.
Do you favour bubbles? Or do you just go for salt water? Downstairs and holding 4,800 gallons of water, measuring 14 foot long and 7 foot deep, it is the tank daddy of all tanks. And whilst all of this is a lot of fishy fun, there is no denying that an incredible feat of engineering and construction is at the heart of it. Why did you feel you had to supersize your aquarium experience?
As a little child, I went to a public aquarium. So there was an aquarium under Blackpool Tower when I was about 5 years old. And my parents couldn't get me out there, you know. I was just totally obsessed. When I first started keeping fish, sort of when I was about 10 or 11, and actually started doing it, there's all these little tiddlers, and I always thought, oh, I can't, well, that's nice. It's a bit bigger, bigger. And that's how it snowballed, really, until eventually, when I got my first house, I haven't got the constraints of my parents or anything like that. So I could just go loopy.
But you did have the constraints of gravity, and also you had the constraints of quite conventional suburban engineering. What are the construction implications of doing something like this?
Quite a bit, because there is 22 tonnes of water in there.
Yeah.
The higher the tank, the greater the water pressure at the bottom. There's 2 tonnes a square metre. pressing against those panes down there.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's got to be thick glass, strong metal, anchored into
lot
the
of
floor,
steel.
anchored into the walls. But once I'd built it, I was confident it would hold, you know.
Yeah.
Otherwise I simply wouldn't have filled it.
Are you not a little bit nervous sometimes with some of these incredible glass confections?
Yeah, I'll be straight up. Yeah. It's not so much the tanks themselves as relying on what's there previously.
Right.
When I was building this one, for example, I was having to second guess a lot of the house. Like I drilled into the concrete floor to make sure there weren't any air pockets or any loose material which wasn't solid enough to take the weight of it all. I just had to do so much to make sure it would stand it. And even, like obviously this wants to fall forwards all the time.
Yeah.
So that's I had to put this lintel in here, go into the walls either side, then fill between the joisting all the way to the back of the house so that it does lots to think about.
But this is you, Jack, doing this, isn't it? And you're not an engineer, are you? You're not an architect.
No. Just had to really think.
Sort of like, you know, tinkering in a shed, but your shed is actually an entire undersea world.
Yeah.
This is not the house, but the tank that Jack built, where Jack has created his very own watery wonderland. Rather than just dream of a world subaquatic, Jack decided to build his own with glass, steel, and a lot of water. Note to self, always wear a rubber bathing hat when in someone else's fish tank. Anyone got a towel? A flannel? Actually, I'll settle for a loincloth. See you next time when we'll meet these glorious real estate rebels.
We were told that this house looks like an upmarket brothel.